Everyone, this is Will. So let's take a look at the 11 plus exam practice question round 2. And today is day 1 and Will. Um, okay, so first question. Let's see. If you divide each side of an equilateral triangle into 5 equal line segments, connect the end point of each segment to its corresponding end point at each of the other two sides, like this. There are how many triangles in the picture? So for this kind of question, we are going to count from the smallest one then to the larger one. Let's see. As for the smallest triangle, how many of that do we have? So basically, we got easy way to get that is you just count how many layers do you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got 5 layers, right? So for this single triangle, that will be 5 times 5. So you got 25 triangles. And then we're gonna count this larger one, which looks like this, which is 2 layers. As for the 2 layers, how many do you have? You can see my pen. So at the top, you got 1. So if you move a little bit down to the next layer, next 2 layers, so you're gonna have 1 and 2. And then next 2 layers, they're gonna be 1, 2, and 3. And then next, okay, so last 2 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'll be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, right? And that gives you 10. And you have to remember that if you do the upside down, you got some new triangles, something like that, you see? Like this. And how many of these do we have? So on this layer, we have only 1. And if you move down a little bit, you have 2 more. That is this one and this one. Okay, so that'll be 3 more. So in total, for this kind of shape, we got the 13 different. And how about these 3 layers, guys? How about the 3 layers? Let me erase that. So as for the 3 layers, you're gonna count from the top again. These 3 layers give you 1, and if you move down a little bit, you got 2 more, and then if you move down to the bottom 3 layers, they're gonna be 3. So 1 and 2 and 3, okay? So that'll be 1 plus 2 plus 3. And if you do the upside down of these 3 layers, you will see that we cannot find any one of that in this kind of diagram. So it's just 1 plus 2 plus 3, you got 6. And then as for the, let me move this. And also, so for the 4 layers, okay, if you got 4 layers like this, so how many of that do you have? So basically, as for the top 4, you're gonna have 1. And if you move down a little bit to the bottom 4, so it's gonna be this, and this layer. So that'll be 2 more, right? This one, and if you move right, this one, you got another one. So that will be 1 plus 2. So basically, you got a 3. And for the total, the biggest triangle, it's just 1. And now you have to add them all together, which is 25, 13, 6, 3, and 1. So 25 plus 13 is 38. 38 plus 6 plus 3 plus 1, basically that will be 48. So 48 triangles. Next question. In a class, 19 children have dogs and 18 children have cats. If there are 30 children in total, find the smallest possible number of children who lack both cats and dogs. So basically, let's have this Venn diagram. And this circle means the number of students who have dogs, which is 19. And this is dogs. And of course, this circle, this represents a number of children who have cats, and that will be 18 cats. And you see, if you add these two together, it's larger than 30, which is 37. And the question is, what is the smallest possible value of this overlap part? So guys, if you want to get the overlap as large as possible, then the biggest will be 18. Because we know that if that is 18 means we got 18 children who like dogs and cats, and for all the other students, let's see, 30, take away 18, and only 1 student like dogs, and all the other students like neither cats or dogs. But for this question, you want to get the smallest possible number for children who like both and cats. So that means this overlap part should be as small as possible. Then that is basically just use this 19 plus 18, which is 37, right? And the total, we know that is 30. So the overlap part is just 37. Take away, because you are going to count this overlap part by 2 times. Then you have to take away the 30. You get the overlap part, which is 7. So the answer is 7 children to this question. And let's see this one. The faces of each of 2 5 dice are numbered 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. When the 2 dice are tossed, what is the probability that the sum is an even number? Okay, so the probability is that the dice equals to the desired outcomes divided by the total outcomes. So what is the total outcomes do we have? You're gonna have this table. You have dice 1, and you have dice 2. And this is the table you have. So you're gonna have number, say 1, 2, 3, 4, no 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8, And then for another dice, you have 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, 8. That's it. And if you add two of them together, let's say if you add 1 and 1 together, that'll give you an outcome. So in total, how many outcomes do we have, guys? You have 6 times by 6, which is 36 outcomes in total. And what are the desired outcomes? You want to get even number, right? So we know that if you get an even number, even plus even, gonna give you an even number, or odd plus odd, gonna give you an even number. So basically, you don't need to add all the numbers. You don't need to add them together to get the result. So basically, you just choose. If you got an even number, let's say if you got odd number 1, you must choose another odd number. That's gonna give you an even one. So I'm gonna take all the even results. So 1, as for this row, 1 is an odd number, so I'm going to choose all the other odd numbers. 3, 5, 7, like this. And as for the second row, I got an even number. That means I cannot choose an odd number. That way, I cannot get an even sum. So I'm gonna choose 2, and I'm gonna choose 8. So that way, let's finish this 3. So odd numbers 1, 3, 5, 7. As for 5, 1, 3, 5, 7. And for 7, 1, 3, 5, 7. And for 8, that's an even number, so let's choose 2 and 8. And now you just count how many ticks do you have. So basically, for all the odd number rows, each row give you 4. So that will be 4 times by 4, because you got 4 rows. And for the even number rows, you got 2 rows. And in each row, you're going to have 4. So you're going to have 2 ticks. So they can be plus 2 times by 2. And then you do the calculation. That will be 16 plus 4 divided by 36, and which is 20 over 36. And you simplify it. You can divide both by 4. So that will be 5 over 9. Then you choose option C. Okay, question number 4. The sum of 5 numbers in the box is 80, as shown below. If the sum of 5 numbers in the similar box is 95, what is the smallest number? Okay, so you see, I'm going to set the middle one as x. And you see the number up to it equals to this number, take away 7, right? So that's going to be x minus 7. And the left number x minus 1, the right number x plus 1. And then the number on the next row, that will be x plus 7. So if you add that 5 numbers together, you will see x minus 7, x plus 7, then the 7 will cancel out. X minus 1, x plus 1, the 1 will cancel out. So basically, if you add that 5 numbers together in the diagram, that will be just a 5x. And then you want to get the sum, which is 95. You just let that equals to 95, then x equals to 19. But that 19 equals to the number in the middle. So you have to find where is the smallest number. It means the number is on the top of the number you found in the center, right? So you have to use 19 take away 7, because you take away 7, you got the number on the top. So that will be 12, the smallest. All right, so next question. Find the sum of the number pattern below. So you see, as for this number table, for the first row, we know that the sum equals to the first term and the last term times the number of terms, which is 20, and then divided by 2, which gives you 210. So that will be the sum of the first row. And let's compare the first row and the second row. As for every number for the second row, that is 1 more than the first row, right? So that means the sum of the second row equals 200 plus how many of 1? Guess 20 of 1. So basically it's 20 times by 1. And then if you compare the first row and the row, the third row, okay? So every number is 2 more than the first row, right? So what's the sum of this row? That'll be 210. Add 20, because you got 20 numbers, and every number you're gonna have 2 more as for the value. So it's 20 plus times by 2. So basically, I think you have already found the pattern, the sum of each row, and the sum of the last row is 210 plus 20 times 19. Okay, because for the last row, every number in the same column is 19 more than the first row. And now we can get the sum, guys. So for the total sum, you have how many of 210s? You have 20 of that, because you got 20 rows. And you have to add these numbers, this extra part. So you have to add from 20 times 1 plus 20 times by 2 plus 20 times by 3 and all the way to 20 times 19. And then you see, as for the first part, that is, so okay. So basically, for the first part, the first term, you can get that directly, which is 4,200. And then as for the rest, it's you can get the common factor, which is 20, and you just bring that out, which is 20 times in the bracket, which is 1 plus 2 plus 3 all the way to 19. All right. So what's the sum of this part? That equals to, let's say, 20 times. It's an arithmetic sequence basically. So you have to use 1 plus 19 times how many terms you have, which is 19 times, and then you divide it by 2. So let's see what you get. that equals to 20 times 20 divided by times 19 and divided by 2. So basically 20 times 20 is 400. 400 times 19 divided by 2, which is 200 times 19, and that gives you 3,800. So this part is 3,800, and the first term 4,200. You add them all together, 4,200. Add this 3,800. Okay, that equals to 8,000. That's the sum. Okay, guys, let me mark this part. So this blue one that I marked for you, which is 20 times the sum of our arithmetic sequence, and that equals to the first term and the last term times 19 divided by 2. Okay, that's it. Let's see the next question. So for question number 6, it's pretty easy. It's just a Fibonacci sequence. So 13 equals to the sum of the first two numbers, and also you can check that 21 equals 8 plus 13, and then the next number will be 34 plus 55, which gives you 89. Okay, so question number 7 will be exactly the same question as we talked about previously, the question number 4. Okay, and let's see, you just set the middle one as x, and the top one will be x minus 8 this time, and then x plus 8, and then x minus 1, and then x plus 1. And if you add all of them together, it's still 5x. And that this time 5x equals to 625. Then solve the equation, x equals to 125. So that means the middle one, the number in the center is 125. The question is asking you what is the largest number. So the largest number in that diagram is 125 at 8, which is the number at the second row. So that will be 133. All right. So as for this question, you just list all the possible results and add them together. So 1 plus 4 plus 9 plus 16 plus 25 plus 36 plus 49, and then let's see, 81. So if you add the first 4 times, 1 plus 9 is 10, 4 plus 16 is 20, so that is 30. And also if you add the, let's see, if you add the last these 3 numbers. Oh, I make a mistake. 8 squared is not 81. 8 squared is 64. Okay, let me change that, which is 64. And then 25 plus 36 equals to 61. 61 plus 49 is 110. So if you add these 3 numbers, 30, 110, and 64 together, you're going to have 204. That's the answer. Question number 9. Calculate and write down your answer in simplistic form. So guys, let's do this thing. 7 over 4 times, if you divide by a fraction, you times the reciprocal of that. So that's 5 over 14, and then you times 3/10. So let's do the simplify now. 7 and 14 cancel out, and you get a 2. And also 5 and 10 will cancel out, you get a 2. So basically, say what you get. 4 times 2 times 2 will be the denominator, which is 16, and you got 3 and the numerator. So that will be 3/16. And question number 2, 15 over 17 times 1/5. Divided by this number times the reciprocal, which is 17 over 18. And now let's do the simplification. Let's do 17, 17 cancel out, 5 and 15 cancel out together, 3 at the numerator. And also 3 and 18 cancel out together, 6. And that is just 1/6. Okay, next one. And you have to convert this 1 and 1.5 into 3 halves, 3 and a half, into 3 times 3 over 2, and times this 1/6. And also this number you have to convert that as well, which is, let's say, 5 over 4, and then you divide it, so times the reciprocal of that is let's say it's 4 over 5. Now you can do the simplification. So 2 and 4 cancel out to get a 2, and 3 and 6 cancel out to get a 2, and this 2 will cancel out. So you got 1/5. So last one, let's see, it's 2/3. 2/3 divided by this 6 fifths. So you divide by 6/5, you times by 5/6, and then you times 9 over 10. So let's do the simplification. 2 times 5 equals to 10, that will cancel out. And 3 and 9, they will cancel out, they got 3, and 3 and 6 cancel out, they got 2. So basically the final answer is just a half. Okay, so next one. According to the following flow chart, add the enters and positive integer x, and the result is 214. You need to get the sum of all the possible values. Let's see. Because if the, let's say at this step, you have to tell is that number greater than 149 or not. If it's greater than that, you get output. If it's not, you're gonna go back to the input. So you input your output again to have this like a cycling problem. So if you want to get 214 directly, and that is just this equation, 4x minus 2, you get 214. And then you solve that equation, right? 4x equals to 216, and then x equals to 54. So is that, that means, guys, if you input 54 at this stage, you're gonna have 214. That will be the, say, the output. But if I'm gonna play this kind of a functioning machine by 2 times, means that as for the first round, my output is 54. And it's that this is 54 is not greater than 148, so they're gonna go back to the input again. So that means 4x minus 2 equals to 54, right? So you got a new input, and that input is 4x equals to 56. Then you got x equals to 14. That means if you input 14, the first round you got 54, and you see 54 is not greater than 149, so you're gonna input 54 again, and you're gonna get 214 as the final result. So you can still input 14, which is another input you can have. And using the same logic, then 4x minus 2 can still be 14. Then you get x equals to 4. That's going to be the third answer you get. So can we have some, can we get one more round? So 4x equals to minus 2, is that possible equals to 4? You see 4x equals to 6, right? Then x equals to 1.5. It's not a positive integer, so you cannot use that. That means you're going to stop at this place. So 3 inputs gonna work for the question. And the sum of that will be 54 plus 4 plus 14. And that gives you 72. So the answer will be 72 to this question. Question number 11. If the pattern continues, what number will be the 10th number in the number sequence below? So let's see, the first one is just 1, the second one is 2 over 3, 5 over 8, 13 over 21, and 34 over 55. So basically the pattern is that, you see, if you do the reservation, this 21 equals to the numerator at the denominator of the previous term. 8 plus 13 is 21, and also 55 equals to 34 plus this 21. All right, and how can we get the numerator? And the numerator just equals to the sum of the denominator and numerator of the previous term. So what's the next? So as for the next one, you have to get the numerator first, which is 34 plus 55. That gives you 89. And the denominator equals to 89 plus 55, which is 144. And that's the 6th term you got. Okay, guys, it's kind of Fibonacci, but in some special way. So we have to repeat this by 4 more times. So next numerator, 89 plus 144, you got 233. And the denominator, 233 plus 144, you got 377. So let's continue this. Next numerator, the sum of these 2 numbers, so that will be 610. And the denominator equals to 610 plus 377, so that will be 987. So we are really close to the final answer because we need to find the 10th term. This is a 6, this is 7s, this is 8s, and then 2 more, okay? 9s and 10s. So next one, the numerator, 610 plus 987, you got 1,597, and so the denominator, the same method, is just 2,584. So let's do last one. Okay, so the answer equals to, as for the numerator, is the sum of these 2 numbers. Be careful when you do the calculation. It's 1, and you got an 8, and then you get a 1, and you got a 4. So as for the denominator, that is this number plus the previous denominator. That gives you 6,765. So this fraction will be the final answer to the question. All right. Question number 12 is a tricky one. Given that a hash b is the difference between a and 10 multiplied by the difference between b and 10, and then add 10. So the reason why I tell you it's tricky is because, so guys, if you don't figure this out, it's just okay, it's just fine, because a tricky question. Let's say if one of the a and b is 10, then the answer is 10. You know what I mean? That means even though you got a whole bunch of these numbers, you see hash 10, and before that hash 11, right? You got so many calculations before that, and let's say this is a star. It's a huge number. How about that? And then if you meet the 10, number 10, what do you have? You're gonna have the star minus 10 times 10 minus 10. You see, it's 0. That means this times this, no matter how huge is that, you times by 0, that will be 0, right? And then you add 10. See what you got? It's also 10. And after that, let's say So now what we know is that 216 hash all the way, all the numbers until 10, that equals to 10. And then you got 9. So let's see, this number, hash 9, what you got? 10 minus 10, it's still 0. So it doesn't matter, 9 take away 10 is negative or positive, it's 0, guys. So you add 10, you find these two, 10 hash 9, it's still 10. And then 10 hash 8, still 10. 10 hash 7, still 10. So basically, until to 1, you'll find the final answer is just a 10. Okay, tricky question. That's it. So let's move on to the 13th one. And for the first one, you will see that if you want to compare these two fractions, and basically, as for the numerator, you will see the difference is just 5. No, it's take away 5. Okay, from the left to right, it's take away 5, and for the denominator, it's also take away 5. Then, if you remember that the sugar water model, let's say this is the water, these 2 bottles of sugar water, and for this one, the sugar is 1 part. How about that? And the water, let's say, is 7 part. Then the fraction of the sugar will be 1 over 8. Okay, in total, that's 1 over 1 plus 7, which is 1 over 8. And then you just add 1 more sugar into it. Add 1 more. So it's 1 part, 7 part. And this time you will see that it's 2 over 9. Okay, so you add 1 to the denominator, you add 1 to the numerator, and you will see that, can you tell me which one is sweeter? Of course, the second one is sweeter. So that's why you see for the original question number 118, it's like you add 5 more parts of sugars to this bottle of water, and you got this one, right? So the first, this one must be sweeter because you add 5 more sugars. Okay, you add 5 to the numerator and denominator at the same time, and larger one will be sweeter. And then the second one, basically for the second one, you have to convert that into an integer plus a fraction, and then do the comparison. And this one equals to 1 plus 7 over 32. And this one equals to 1 plus 7 over 42. Of course, 1, you don't need to care about that because it's the same. And which one is larger, guys? We know the same numerator. You got the same numerator. The smaller the denominator, the larger the fraction. So the left will be larger. And then the third one, you see, as for these two, you have to use, because if you compare the numerator and denominator, if you take away that, it's just 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, right? You just take away that from that. So let's do that. If you use 1 take away, there's 3, 3, 3, 3. How many 3? 5 or 3s and 1 4 over this number 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So it really doesn't matter, guys. So that's gonna be 6 of 1s over this number. Okay, 1 more 4. And also, if you use 1 take away the second number, I'm not going to write on that. And let's look what you got. You still got 6 of 1s as a numerator, and 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, and 1 more 4 as the denominator. So, guys, are you gonna compare this to the same numerator, right? Numerator is the same. So if you find which one, as for the denominator, the larger the fraction will be smaller. So that means as for these two fractions, let me change the color. As for these two fractions, 1 and 2, which one is larger? Of course, the first one is larger, right? The first one is larger. And you both use 1 to take away the original fraction, and you see the remaining, this one's larger, means the fraction, original fraction, this one's larger, so this one's larger. Okay, and let's see question number 4. Basically, it says, you see, these two fractions are really close to a half. And let's see, what is the half of this denominator? Half of this one is 1,1,1,1,0.5. Okay, and half of this denominator is 4,4,4,4,3.5. All right, guys, if you compare these two numbers, you will find this fraction itself is 0.5 over 2, 2, 2, 1, closer to a half. And this fraction is 0.5 closer, let's say 0.5 over 88887 closer to a half. So let's see, as for these two fractions, of course, this number is larger, right? This one is smaller. What does that mean? That means the second fraction is more closer to a half, then that is larger. It's more closer to one half, right? So the second one is larger. Okay, question number 14. You got 30 squared minus 29 squared, guys. So in the Simple Go School exam, you have to remember this thing. A squared minus b squared equals to a plus b times a take away b. Just remember this formula. And that will be pretty easy to do the question. As for this two, that's 30 plus 29 times 30 take away 29. And the plus this one, and that will be 28. 28 plus 27, and then times 28, take away 27. And you see this is 1, and this is 1. So basically, what I done, you just add 30, 29 times by 1, and plus 28 plus 27 times by 1. So basically, if you do the calculation until to 1 and 2 and 1, so that would be 30 plus 29, right, times 1. So just remove the bracket, add 28, add 27, add 26, all the way to 1. So let's say it's just the sum of an arithmetic sequence. 30 plus 1, so times, how many terms you have? It's 30 terms, and then divided by 2. So that will be 31 times by 30 divided by 2, which is 15. And if you do the calculation, you get that equals to 465. Okay, last question. 4 times by 4 times by 4 times by 4 times by 4. So there you got 5 of 4 times together. So basically that is just 10 of 2. Because this one is 2 times 2. This one is 2 times 2. And we know that 2 to the power of 10 equals to 1024. So remember that. And you add 9, which is 1033. And let me tell you, any number to the power of 0 equals to 1. It's except 0, guys. 0 to the power of 0 makes no sense. We don't consider that. And for all the other numbers, like either positive or negative, if you to the power of 0, that is just 1. So this is 1, also this is 1, and to the power of 1 is just itself. So the final answer is 305 plus 2, which is 307. Okay, guys, that's it. So you'll find day 1 is a little bit hard, but today, tomorrow, next time, the hard will not be that hard. Basically, today's question is harder than the second round of most of the private schools. So see you next time.